versus Enigma. RCTIC won that knife round, and they decided to stay on the CT side as well, which is not too obvious of a move. I mean, when we were back talking with Vigo, or Vuggo, pardon me for that, in Fragbite, for example, Fragbite Masters, he said a couple of times that, you know, Cash, if you know how to play the T side, that's a preferable side for the team. So, depending on what team you are, this map can be a huge variety of tactics and strategies, depending on what side you play on, obviously. Here we go, Enigma versus RCTIC, and the game is about to start. The pistol round is about to go live in just 5 seconds, and looking at the equipment, Sorge will be going with a smoke, flash, and an AG, while the rest of the team decides to go with body armor together with 2 decoys there. So, T-side still has 2 smokes to work with and a couple of flashbangs that are, you know, might be important enough to get in somewhere. But RCTIC are going really, really offensive here, and it opens up so many opportunities here for Enigma to get kills. Hypen has already gone in for why. Might that be a second? Yes, it will be. And because of that, I mean, that just turned things around. And they've still got all of the nades that they bought in the first hand here. So Enigma, they have a lot of time together with nades to work with against RCTIC. And at this stage in the game, I mean, it's only the first few rounds, right? But it might have a huge impact on the fact that RCTIC are not going to be able to buy in a couple of few rounds in the early beginning of this game and give Enigma this momentum that preferably wouldn't be given to them if RCTIC was the one to decide. Enigma playing this really, really slow, but they will be pushing out eventually towards this A side of the map, and they're inside of main right now, just waiting for someone to take these small peeks, and they're really waiting for the mistakes to be done here. I mean, waiting for RCTIC to be really secure and confident in themselves. And there we go, Twista goes in for one. That's a good headshot, but it's only a reply from Pervy going down. Saw will be continuing, and he goes in for another one. Equalizes his backdoor 2-on-2. What is going on? Rapin left alone in a 1-on-1 as he goes in for Saw and takes this one home for the team. Twista goes down, and 1-0 was about to turn around right there, but RCTIC didn't really manage to get it going all the way. However, I feel like that's just good enough for them, because at least now they have a couple of spare dollars that they can work with, a couple of nades and whatever for this next round. And Enigma, if they could just damage their economy to a point where, okay, Enigma are not going to be having the greatest buy when they do, then especially on the CT side, that's definitely what you're looking for. So continuing into this game, RCTIC are going to be playing this a little bit more passive this time. They learn from their mistakes, and learning that Enigma, they're pretty much just waiting for these mistakes to be done by the CT side. So this T side looks like they haven't really got an idea of how their enemies are playing and how they're standing. So Enigma has to get that first info before pushing out somewhere. And RCTIC, they've got a good hold on pretty much all of the spots here. It just comes down to hitting your shots pretty much with that pistol and holding out a flashbang, not being really environmentally knowledgeable of people around you is a problem right there, and that just makes Twista fall. You just really coincidental kill right there. Rapid will be going in for another one, and Sagerton going down. X7 will, however, come up with a good headshot on Rapid as that comes. And 3-on-4 situation is what we're looking at. Enigma, they've still got people up in middle here, and I mean, X7, he's allowed to survive a long time out in middle. Goes in for yet another one, and that's the second headshot of this game with that Eagle. Elander falls down. Enigma will be having a nade, hitting Sorge pretty bad. The next 7 falls down as well to Hypen in the end. And Saul left alone with only a CZ75, so not too much to say. But if he decides to go for a save, then, I mean, that's just good enough. Picks up that Galil and still earns money because he's on that CT side, so cool stuff. And this plays pretty passive here, knowing that, yeah, if I want to go in for the save, then let's not challenge anything. And I think that's one of the smarter moves, more optimal ones at this stage as well. But looking at Enigma now, they're going to be really strong running into this next round. We might see Riku drop to a mate here, and, you know, the rest of the team doing so as well, at least supporting each other economically, knowing that, okay, if we have good weaponry here, we're going to beat them really bad. And RCTIC hasn't got much to work with either. I mean, that's the Galil that they picked up, obviously, on Saw, but other than that, there's not much that they can work with here. And already in the early beginning of this all, Elander goes in for a really huge peek there on middle to expose himself, obviously, but there's no shots being fired at him through that smoke after that, so at least RCTIC now has a knowledge of where Enigma are standing on this map. But however, noises are being spread out all over this map, and even towards the B side of this map. I mean, we're seeing small pushes here and there. X7 is clearing up, but over and over, RCTIC hasn't really got a good idea of what Enigma wants to do yet, because Enigma are playing this really dynamic play where they're not really showing off too much. They're running around the map across towards A and B a lot of the time, not really sure of where they want to go, I think, and want to have a good knowledge of what they're doing before they push in. So we'll see if they'll be able to expose RCTIC in the more simple positions and get these kills easily, because after all, RCTIC are on this lower budget round. And these nades are rolling in, the smoke down towards lower. No one's really on this B side. Riku is just holding this off from Vents, knowing that there might be one here. He's going to be hit from behind. Still no dink, so not really exposed from that position. And Stahl is still shooting. He knows that I might actually get a kill if I continue shooting like this. RCTIC are playing this really passively, knowing that, okay, you know, after all, it's a plant for Enigma. We've got nothing to work with, and if they want to survive after that bomb detonates, then they'll need to pretty much run away from there. So waiting for these exits to come at them is a smart move, not only to gain money, but to damage Enigma's economical situation as well, because if you pick up an AK and you're able to deal damage in the next round, well, who knows, you might actually turn around your ecosystem to your side in this game. Well, Saw goes in for a couple of frags, actually quite ridiculous the amount. What is that? 4 kills from Saw? 6.4k on him right there after those kills just roll into his bank account. Look at that, transforming into money. And he's gonna go with that M4A1S instead, so gotta say this is interesting. I mean, RCTIC, now that they've got more heavy equipment, they can definitely work their way around here and see if they can find a couple of kills playing offensively. But no, it doesn't really work. Not even with the small defensive peaks there from Saw. He wasn't able to get one and already fell down really early into that by Perby, who took the boost chance. Still really small plays coming up here by Enigma. They're not doing much to expose what they want to do here. And I think the dynamic play that they've got on this T site, you know, running across the map a lot of the time between the A and the B part of the maps, is that, you know, what RCTIC is seeing here is that, okay, either they're going A or they're going B, and a lot of the time RCTIC is that team to over-rotate a lot. Last time they didn't even have one on B. Obviously this time around they had a lower budget round, but still, if they continue doing this, and if they continue reacting to these really simple tricks that Enigma's got, it's going to be hard for them to maintain calm and steady on this map. Staggerton decides to back off as he knows that, well, you know, my team's got issues on middle, and they do support each other in this situation, which is quite nice to see. Staggerton is still in a spot where, you know, there's not really anyone facing him at all. What he could supposedly do is push either through main to get info of not anyone being A and calling that to his mates, or doing what he's doing right now, coming up from behind. And I really like this kind of play where they're really supporting each other, coming up from both angles. And Staggerton and the rest of the team, Storage, they do pick up these 2 frags each and make the best out of the situation to even win the round. So 1-3 is what we're seeing. And Enigma are down 2. And as I mentioned, economical damage right there. We saw 4 kills from Saw in the round where Enigma had the best money they could ever had and the best equipment they could ever had to upgrade. But because they lost those weapons, they're not able to buy in this round. And they would have been if they just saved those weapons and decided to play the earlier round with those. But it wasn't possible at this stage. And Saw definitely made sure that, okay, we've got the eco hold here. We know how to control their money. And nade coming up here by Twista as he spots people up towards Vents. X7 has to back off with only that 5-7 in hand after switching over. It's going to be really hard to get Riku as he just sprays with that CZ75. And I like this play. I mean, Enigma is still really versatile when it comes to team play. I mean, they've got people up on middle to just hold this off if they're willing to push from behind here. In RCTIC, they do these things, but they still know what to do, I was about to say, as that flashbang just lands instantly in the head of Twista right there and falls down. Riku with that CZ75 going in for Staggerton right there, and it's a 1-on-2 situation. Really hard for Saw to take this one home, and he knows that. So with 5 HP remaining, and I'm not sure, is Saw, maybe he disconnected, because you wouldn't be looking into a wall like that if you're in that certain position. But yeah, he timed out. So pause is up, ladies and gentlemen. And to fill this out, I think what we should see here from RCTIC in the next upcoming rounds, and what they should be focusing a little bit more on here, is that, well, if you've got these small peaks, and if they're the ones that really bring you down, for example, in middle in the earlier round, where Enigma had a great chance of getting a kill from Boost Pervy, playing that extraordinary several times in a row now, RCTIC should be able to realize that as soon as they do realize that, I should say that rather, they should also try and back off, try to maintain calm and steady behind the walls of the map, knowing that, okay, eventually they're going to have to push us either way. Enigma are really, really liable, and they rely on the fact that, okay, when they push into a site, they know where you're at, they pre-peek these positions, they nade these spots, they smoke these spots. If RCTIC just stay behind the walls of this map, make sure that they've got good crossfires and good replies on every single kill that comes out, Enigma's going to have huge problems here, and this dynamic play that they've got on the T side is going to be a little bit harder to work with. Then again, if you get a couple of frags here, RCTIC, obviously, if we see on main, for example, anyone get a couple of frags here on Enigma's team, then anywhere on the map, they'd probably call that, okay, this might be an A play. If there's a lot of people rushing towards you, then at that exact stage where RCTIC falls for that trap, Enigma just turns around and has that dynamic play ongoing as they lose a couple of members. But very deep, very, very deep. And I'm not sure, did they disconnect, or what might be the issue here? Yeah, he's back, but they need to fix the money, so... We're just waiting for that. What did you have? So we're just waiting for this all to start up. I'm gonna have to put up my volume here. There we go. Looking at the money situation, though, I mean, 5.1k on Sagerton. He might drop a couple of pistols here and there. Saw might eventually be able to support that if he's got enough money. I'm not sure about Riku, Elander, and the gang. They've got what they need. Rapid, not with the greatest amount of nades, not Elander either, but this is enough on the T side for them. I mean, they work around steps and, you know, with the dynamic play, as I mentioned earlier, walking around the map, A and B, A and B, A and B a lot of the times. So that works out for them. So nades wouldn't really be that important for them. But still, if you want to execute into a site, these smokes are really important to hit perfectly. And they've got 5 smokes. So with that being said, these flashbangs are just add-ons to pretty much decoy out and know that Enigma are whitened out when you push into these sites. And we saw disconnect again. And yeah, back and forth. I don't think they'll reset the round, to be honest. Ah, 2.4k, there we go. And they continue. Off they go. Enigma versus RCTIC, and matches on pause, going live again, ladies and gentlemen. This is King of the Hill, game on. And if you do not know, I think we have a couple of giveaways to give out, obviously. I think it's the Razor Mamba and the Galathius, which is, I'm not sure about the Galathius. I think it's a mouse pad, but I'm not going to be 100% sure because I'm not really that into Razor gear that I know every single brand and product that they sell. But Pervy going in for 2 good kills in the early beginning of this song. We go over to the game against Saw, and Twista going down as they were really offensive, pushing through Squeaky Riku with a nice Molotov to finish off 7 as he goes in for the second peak, pulling off that AK-47. Sagerton will be going down as well. And Enigma, they just seem to not be falling down. There's just timing is on their side today. And RCTIC, not lucky enough to find a kill. Obviously, really low on money there, and doesn't really matter that much for them since they're on the CT side here. They still earn a good amount of money. But still, on the CT side, since it's a bit expensive in comparison to the T side, you might actually want to get these small frags with the pistols just to build bank and know that, okay, at least we're safe with the money that we have in the future rounds. So banking up is always, it's always an alternative that you want to take into aspect, and what possibilities might be there for you if you actually go for exits or whatever. So we continue here, and RCTIC are playing this really safe play this time around. They're still supporting each other by having another member on the T side. I did not mention this, and Sorge is going down. It looked like a good one for them, but Sorge wasn't able to handle that, and Saw goes down as well as he tries to push through the smoke in middle. But they're playing this really passive play where if they want to push, they're playing it really defensive, knowing that they've got to sneak entirely through the entire map if they want to get through. And that's what we saw there. I mean, Sorge still didn't get any kill, and might be a problem for them, but I don't think so. I mean, this is the round where they get enough money for the next one. And I mean, X7, what is going on with this man right now? Got 2 kills and might even make a third happen. Not entirely though, and he goes down at the end of it all. 1-6 in Enigma. They've got a steady hold of money right here. Hypen goes for that AWP, but the rest of the team, if there's anything that any member needs here, they'll just support each other's money by dropping weapons and whatever they need. So smart plays coming up here by them, starting to build bank, especially on specific members, to make sure that these members are the ones who have got a lot of money but hasn't got much to risk either, especially the 8K members. Like if you look at Hypen, for example, he's down to 1K only, and the rest of the team has at least above 2K that they can work with in future rounds. So the ones who risk a lot doesn't risk a lot of money, and they can always drop that person if that's needed. So cool stuff. Cool beans. And Hypen goes in for the kill, playing that really defensive and nasty position from him, actually. Sorge just falls apart, and at this stage, RCTIC should be aware of the fact that going offensive on the CT side is not what you want to do against Enigma. Enigma knows exactly how they want to play against this team, and I'm not sure how that works, because Enigma's playing this really passive play on the T side. Still dynamic, as I mentioned, because they turn around from A to B a lot of the time, but still really defensive. They're still on the T side of the map for at least half of the round, but they still get these kills when it's needed, and they push through when they know that they've got these entries. And it's all thanks to RCTIC. I mean, they push in situations where there's no point in pushing. There's a hold is a hold, and if you just hold that position that you're in, you're gonna win rounds. But Enigma is allowed to get these kills due to these small mistakes being done by RCTIC. Obviously, RCTIC might just feel really confident in going in for these kills, knowing that, yeah, maybe we've got better gun skill, maybe we've got this and that's better, but in the end, Enigma proves here that that is not the case. You cannot go offensive against these guys when they're on the T side, especially not when they're playing this passive play that they're doing. Once again, playing really slowly, but this time Rapin will be going up quickly. This is something we've seen before, but with Pervy in the earlier stage of the game. So, with that CZ 75, holding it really closely to make sure he can get a kill. And look at that, Sorge! What was that with the Deagle? Riku and Rapin just falls down from the boost, goes down, and Enigma, they were down with only 3 members. Look at this, RCTIC is down to a low budget round as well, so this might actually pay off cleaner than I thought. And RCTIC had 1 member go really offensive here, so at the end of it all, this confidence maybe comes from something, and it's the fact that sometimes at least they get these kills and Enigma falls down, especially in the pistols, which is even more shocking looking back at the way that they failed playing with the heavier weapons. Well, Hypen has already gone in for 1. Elander in the gang, they're going to be pushing through. These flashbangs are coming through as well to make sure that no one's in the corner and no one can get these kills. And they do go in for the replies. They play this together as they push out. So smart plays, and Pervy goes in for these 2 kills. Saw and X7 goes down. 2-on-2 situation, and Twista here with just a P250 in mid. And he knows that they're just here. And Elander has some spider senses tingling looking back, but still goes up towards the A side with his mate, pretty much knowing that, hey, if I don't get this reply after he dies, then there's no point in even playing this game anymore. Twista, though, tries to go in for the kill. In the end, dies from Elander, who also had the bomb, so if he got that kill, there could be a small opportunity for him to actually take that round home on the time. But 1-8 in Enigma. Hypen's got that AWP. Storage probably won't push this time, but he's still going to face them in middle, which he didn't do the earlier round, to point out. So different positions coming up by this Malin. We'll see if he'll be able to deliver from this angle rather than anything else. And it looks like a safer position for him. Nades coming out and on boost. I don't know, it's a good position to nade since Enigma's been up there for several times in a row now. So RCTIC's starting to get a good read of how they want to meet Enigma and how they want to pre-nade certain spots and what's so not. Still no one's dead, and this is what I'm talking about. Enigma really passive here on the T side. Still very dynamic. At times, they go in for these huge push-ins where they just pretty much execute into the side with all power and all force that they ever had. This time around, I think they are going to fail because X7 has already got one, and he's going to get support as soon as possible because these nades are rolling over him. And Pervy goes in for the kill. X7 falls down, but the replies are not there from RCTIC, and it takes its time. But RCTIC maybe is waiting for more of that support from the rest of the mates, and I think that might be a smart move, especially when you know that Enigma is really good with playing this passive on that bomb side. And this is something you see even from the higher tier teams. I mean, Enigma, they're forming a way of playing that is working so well in the post-plan positions where you know that, okay, they're going to be able to push us from these and these angles. Let's just hold this down together and we're going to win the round. Storage left alone here in a one-on-one against Hypen, and Hypen goes in for the shoulder peaks. He knows that this is an AWP he's meeting. Storage with a fake defuse, and pros don't fake, they say, but this guy does. Hypen goes in for the kill. Oh my god, Storage misses out on that shot. Look at that. A lot. Oh my god, Hypen, what is going on? Storage gets knifed after picking up an AK-47 with not enough bullets, missing out on the headshot. Not an opportunity to pick up a pistol. 9-1, and we continue with the game, guys. Enigma still really, as I mentioned, passive plays are coming up here. Elander falls down to a low amount of HP because of that push from RCTIC, but I think RCTIC are looking here, especially now that they've got these pistols, they're feeling a bit confidence in, you know, the confidence that's there is pretty much in pushing. So there we go. Pervy with, I don't know what wall spray that was. Suraj just falls apart, goes down to the ground, and there will be another one. Pervy is on fire right now with just knowing where everybody's at. And with that being said, I don't even think RCTIC had a member stepping right there. I don't think that was, I'm not sure if that's Sagerton or who was that? Yeah, I think that was Sagerton. I don't even think he was stepping right there. So just random spraying like crazy, still having you know, he didn't damage him at all, so missing out on all shots, but still very accurate to knowing the positions. So he has a good game sense. That's something that we can tell for sure here. RCTIC's got members from behind, and this is what I mentioned again. Enigma playing this super safe, knowing that, especially with RCTIC being overconfident in this position and the situation that they're in, we should just hold this down. We should just know that, especially against this team, we're going to have a lot of behind pushes and offensive pushes on the CT side. So they faced that with the most respect they ever could, just holding it down, knowing that, yeah, RCTIC, they're a good team, and we don't want to lose these battles against them as they come up from behind. And by pretty much just holding it down from behind, a lot of the time playing passive on the T side, they don't allow RCTIC to even make a play like that happen. Having reply fraggers on a passive position in the on the T side of the map, it's good place. It's good place, but might not work on the bigger maps. Cache being one huge map, obviously, but you know, Overpass, for example, might be one where they might be facing some issues playing this strat. Obviously, Cache is another map, and maybe this is what they were meant to play. We'll see how it continues. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, I think RCTIC, yeah, RCTIC is the team who chose Cache as well. And with that being said, I see I see actually a way in for Enigma to possibly be eligible to get something good going. Twista here with that A4 goes in for the kill on Rapin, decides to back off into middle. X7 spots another man now, goes in for the first kill, knows that there is people behind, and they didn't spot him out. He goes in for one, might go in for the second, but misses out on some crucial shots, and that just allows Kirby to go in for the kill. X7 falls down, and it's a 4-on-3 situation. Still, Enigma's got low amounts of HP on every single member that they ever had. And with that being said, there should be a huge possibility for RCTIC to take this one home, playing from behind. As I mentioned earlier, no one is playing that passive role this time, and because of that, Enigma allows them to do what RCTIC pretty much wanted to do. And economically, I mean, they are good both, and I don't really know about this double op setup on Cash. Would be A and mid or B and mid, but A and B, I'm not really sure about this. Stall is in a really squeaky situation as well, whereas if there's two people rushing him right here, he's probably going to be really dead just by a couple of nades and a couple of shots right there. So I mean, questionable play, but at the same time might pay off so clean if Enigma makes these kind of mistakes with just pushing in specific angles one by one. So here we continue. RCTIC are playing this really safe. And Saw, he misses out on that first shot with AWP, throws out the smoke, and he's got his mate right there to support if there is anything. Sagerton will be jumping up to make sure he gets at least one. And the trade, it has to happen now from Enigma if they want to make something happen. Oh my god, Elander knows how to pre-fire every single position of that site. Even quad, there was nobody there, and he still had the greatest spray transfer I've ever seen into quad if there was to be anyone there. So well prepared as he pushes into a side, and I'm not sure how hyped these guys are, but looking at what they're doing right now, it looks like they are hyped to play this game, hyped for this grand final. In RCTIC, they're facing some major difficulties if it's not for them coming back sooner enough, because 11-2, it is looking like a game for Enigma to take home. And look at that, Pervy, Hypen, they just make sure they get these kills at the end of it all, and RCTIC has to step this up right now. Not only individually, I mean, missing out on these crucial shots, especially from quad right there into main. Those shots make crucial differences, obviously, but not only that, playing as a team, knowing that you need to go in for these replies together, make sure that you're able to go a little bit more offensive when they do get that first kill, Enigma, so to say, to at least go, go in for these replies and make it a fair round for yourself. But I guess that's the issue right there, and some team damage dealt as well. Here we go. Sarij will be going in for a great 1D right there on Elander, and he was the one who went wild on the entry frags last round. So with a key player already going down, and a situation where RCTIC are actually playing on a lower budget is might actually feel a bit scary here to Enigma, knowing now that, yeah, okay, he went down to a deagle, maybe they got more pistols here, or maybe that is just the decoy that they're looking to give us because of the fact that, okay, one of us went down by the deagle, maybe the rest of us, or the rest of them have got heavier weapons. We'll see about this, but they're preparing to push into this side, knowing now that, okay, this is probably the most low-budget round that we're ever going to meet them in so far into this house, so why not just go wild spraying these guys? Saw coming up from behind with a good one, but it's a 1-on-3 situation. Really questionable play here from RCTIC as they keep pushing Hypa, knowing that he's got that AWP. Saw picks up a nade at the wrong time, not able to finish off with the frag, and he knows that he's on this A site right now. Saw will be timing this perfectly. They see him as he jumps over and in towards quad, and we'll see if he'll be able to get this kill. Saw just jumps over and gets the headshot. Hypa falls down 3-11, and 4-11 might be enough for them to get back into this. 3-11 might be as well, but Enigma on the CT side, judging by the fact that they played so dynamically passive on the T side of this map during this entire first half, I am doubting that they're not gonna be passive on the CT side. However, I'm never gonna be sure about anything here because, after all, Enigma is a team that at least I haven't been casting before, so I can't say too much about this team and how they want to play. Twista tries to make some crucial damage through that smoke. Doesn't really hit those shots entirely, but Hypen falls down to 76 HP, so might be diversity of a couple of plays able to happen from that. I am doubting it though because of the fact that Hypen backs off at the stage of the game where he's already shot. Good leg or through the wall shot on Flappin. Was it Flappin or Rappin? Not Rappin. And down to 12 HP. And Enigma just playing this really safe, knowing that, yeah, okay, whatever next move we make, it's gonna be heard. And Hypen decides to go in for that Molotov towards the B side, and that's when Seven throws out the perfect nade to make sure he faces people with a lower amount of HP. Oh my god, X7! What is going on? Goes in for 2 great headshots right there. Elander and Hypen falls down. Riku has to go in for that one reply. They already got in for that reply, but still, it doesn't matter. 3-on-2 situation. They need to get one more to equalize this situation. And for them to equalize this right now with only 20 seconds on the clock, there will be pressure, but the plant is going to be faked down once. Riku eventually going in for the fake again to make sure he provokes Saw to expose himself in the position he's in. Doesn't matter because Sagerton is out in the field to make sure he gets Riku as he peeks out. And there you have it. 4-11 might be enough for Arctic to work with if they just win this pistol round. Yeah, and by the way, guys, ladies and gentlemen, everybody who is in here, whether you are an alien, human being, animal, I don't know what, there will be giveaways down in the description of this channel. I think it is a Razor Mamba and a Razor Go Lathius, so make sure to check that out. Don't forget to follow us up on Azubu. You could even subscribe to the channel, I think. I'm not too sure, but if you do subscribe, and if it's possible, then go ahead and do so, because if you want to support more of our tournaments, that really helps us out. It's Game On GG on Facebook, and it's Game On GG on Twitter as well. Good Twitter to follow, because then at least you'll get the info provided for the games that you'll need. Maybe if it's not released on Angel TV yet, you'll get it, get most of the information there first. So, as we continue into the game, it is the pistol round, and Saw has already been down to 33 HP from, I think, a couple of shots and a couple of nades. He decides to back off, and it's a good fake happening towards this B side, actually, as the vent breaks down, and Enigma are starting to realize that, okay, maybe this is an A, but as they hear these steps coming towards them, Elander decides to go in for a nice headshot, makes that a second, even a third, possibly has to reload, and Hypen supports him, Pervy goes in for the kill as well, and there we have Storage left alone in a 1-on-3, still facing 2 members with a low amount of HP, and if he just hits a good headshot on Riku, this is definitely doable for him. And there we go, Storage will be falling down, and Hypen will be the one to finish off with that frag. 12-4, and Enigma at the score definitely has a huge advantage, and judging by the money as well, I mean, looking at what they've got now, 2 SMGs, I'd suggest Rappin and Hypen goes really offensive with these to just shock and make sure that Arctic are shocked as they try to maybe maintain calm and copy the play that Enigma had on the T side. But not only that, if they do decide to push, it's going to be a shock to meet these SMGs and make sure that at least you gain a lot of money from Enigma, or for Enigma, for getting these kills with the SMGs. So we are continuing, and Arctic are playing this really slow down pace game that, at this stage in the game as well, knowing that you've got Tech 9s might actually be a smart move, because if they come around a corner, you've got the close range fire that you really want with these Tech 9s, and you can just rush them over with a couple of headshots in their head and they're pretty much dead. Whether they've got Kevlar, head armor, doesn't really matter, you're gonna get these kills. However, the SMGs are a bit stronger, and Twista goes down. However, as I mentioned, with that SMG in hand, if he falls down, Surge, he might just pick that one SMG up to gain more money from this round. And even if they win this or not, it's a good amount of money spent, or not even spent, but earned by this young man and talent right here. So Rappin and Elander, they're down, left alone, and one of them is an upper. Saw has not spotted the male out yet, so 88 HP remaining on him after that AG lands perfectly into the site. He's got a UMP to work with, as Storage has a FAMAS that he's going to be facing them with from a good angle. He goes in for the first frag, and Arctic will be taking the round home after that happens. And 2 FAMASs picked up right here is, that's quite impressive. I mean, good profit from a round like that. And on the T side, where it's not as expensive on the CT, you're probably gonna have a good time playing these weapons, and you're probably gonna have it easier, especially knowing that Enigma is down to, you know, not the best amount of money playing the CT side after winning this round. So they definitely have money control here, and they do push into this B side. No one is in this side. Let me just note that out. So Enigma has to either make that, you know, retake, or just go in for these exits. And it looks like Hypen has a good leg shot onto one of the members. He's down in lower Twista with a nade to come out. And Saw has a good position to go in for a headshot. Misses out on a couple of shots, though, but still hits them in the end. And Rapin falls down due to that matter being a fact. And Twista, he's playing this safe, knowing that, yeah, you know, eventually they're going to be coming across here. So let me just go in for these kills. And RCTIC as well, I mean, not really in a situation where they have to save, but then again, dying from the bomb is not necessarily a good alternative at all. So suggesting that they back off, Enigma is going to be having a easier chance to get these kills. And we saw Pervy going in for one right there, but doesn't really matter in the long end. 2.25k to work with, not the best amount, and Enigma still with the equipment that they got, knowing that, okay, we're on the CT side, if we save, it doesn't really matter. And in this next round, where they're going to be having heavier equipment, we might be able to even get the money control if we win the round after this, or this one. But they just gotta make that eco damage happen first. And Riku just goes really, really offensive. 3 goes in for one, makes that a second, and oh my god, Riku with an incredible kill. Molotov coming up right here, picks up that AWP. So looking at this, and from this perspective, Pervy might actually be able to go in for one more. Flashbang coming up, and no one is really gonna go in for that peak, knowing that Pervy probably has that AWP by now. But still, 4-on-3 situation, and this is good play happening from Enigma. 12-6 at this stage. And if I'm not mistaken, they're gonna be going in towards the A side, so Pervy, by the time you realize, might actually be too late if you didn't turn earlier. And 2-on-2 situation at this stage. Elander, a lot of at this stage is right there. Sorry to bother you with that, but pardon, I can't hold myself. Elander with the CZ75 coming up on the side. Saw there with the AK-47, well-formed play. Will be going in for the kill and actually gets the shot on the head, and right in the head actually. Elander falls down, and Pervy here with the AWP. He has been spotted out, so no AWP on the T side. So with that being said, should be an enabled play to happen here from Enigma. Last member, Pervy goes in for the first frag. Saw falls down, make that a second, and he has a round right at him. Climbs up the ladder, even jumps over to make sure no one's on the side, no one's in the corner, and now he knows that he can only determine himself, knowing that, okay, he's probably at this stage, and at this situation, he knows that, okay, he's probably gonna be quad. Pre-fires that position just in time to make sure he gets that kill. And RCTIC already had that last member exposing himself by shooting one first bullet, missing out on the shot. So 6-13, and Enigma Esports are, well, they're getting there. They're getting this going. AWP in the hands of Hypen. And I'm not sure how to pronounce every Enigma player's name. You could, if you want to tweet me that, at ValtyTheKing is my Twitter. It should be somewhere on the screen. So if you have the right pronunciation, if I'm saying anything wrong, if you're disturbed on that, please tell me, because I'm trying my hardest. However, RCTIC, they push into this side, and it looks like a straight-up carnage as they just get these 2 kills. Rapping in the game, they just fall apart. The third member being Elander falling down as well. Riku has gone down with them. So Hypen and Pervy are left alone here in a 2-on-5, and what they can do is pretty much just going in for a save, I'd suggest. Yeah. Well, I guess that's what happens when, I don't know what, you're meeting gods or something. These guys, these RCTIC guys, they sure know how to play this game. And Enigma, they do finish off with these good exits and make that a 4th exit, and actually good money is awaiting them. But Hypen knows the one is above him, goes in for the kill but misses out on the shot, drops the AWP to Storage, and it makes it harder for them to face them in this next round. Yeah, so we continue. 7-13, Enigma. To be honest here, what we're seeing is several times in a row they're going in for these offensive plays, and as I mentioned earlier before this half even started, I was predicting that maybe they're just gonna pull this as defensive and as passive as they did on the T side. But looking at this now, it's just a carnage as they push into this B side, obviously knowing that we're probably gonna be meeting a lower budget round either way, so Saw just goes in ham with that P90 to make sure he exploits every single position of that site that is possible with those 50 bullets that are in a magazine of a P90. But going back to what I said earlier, Enigma on the T side, if you weren't here by then, they played a really passive play on the T side. Very dynamic though, turning back to A and B several times to fake for the enemies. But this time around, Enigma hasn't really got that dynamic passive play, and it doesn't really work entirely. Saw with a shot on Kirby right there, and he's in the smoke. He might actually get a couple of frags from behind here with only 16 HP remaining. This would be godlike, and he will be going in for one. Make that a second, and it's incredible, but no! He waits, and he decides to pick up that P90. Would be preferable to drop that to a mate, but 16 HP remaining is what he thinks is enough. Nah, Hyphen is the one to pick up that P90 in this situation, and Scout picked up by Kirby. Yeah, he could be usable and feasible in this situation, but no, he decides to give it to Riku instead. And I think this is actually one of the more smarter moves, because Kirby could just be the living decoy at this stage, but no. Riku falls down, and this is where Enigma starts going one by one. I mean, allowing them to get these kills and even reload before one of the next one pops up. So, several times in a row, I want to say Enigma does this mistake, and they have one player pushing really offensively, especially into B lobby, where they lose a couple of members and allow RCTIC to have this advantage and get this momentum going on the T side. And I think that's what scares Enigma a little bit here. They're trying to shock the enemies that they're facing, and it isn't really working against RCTIC. Twista goes really offensive to get the kill on Hyper, knowing that he's probably gonna go in for the save. And as it looks, the kill is confirmed. However, we're gonna go into it, and looking into the deep Enigma, if they just form a shape of the play that they had on the T side, it's definitely gonna be a bit more doable for them to win these rounds, and it's gonna be a little bit more easy for them to get these retakes going, I think. But still, analytically and looking at this from an analytical move or an analytical view, what am I saying? It's gonna be RCTIC definitely on this T side, who might be able to make this 16-13 if they just have this momentum going on, because the play that they got, not only the play and the defensive play that they're working with, but the fact that they're hitting their shots, that they've got these replies, works perfectly. But Enigma, they seem to turn this back, making it a 2-on-2 situation, and even winning the round. I mean, coming up from every single angle they ever could. Also from behind here, works out, and the offensive play seems to pay off, especially in the retake situation. So that dynamic play working from both sides on the CT side, I'm thinking if they just add that into this mix, these two rounds are gonna be easy as a pie, a walk in the park, I don't know what. It shouldn't be too hard. And RCTIC, they should be needing by now to switch up their play, but I'm not gonna say that is the case and that is factual yet, because Enigma still got offensive plays happening here and there, and if RCTIC just adapts to the play that they're meeting, it's gonna be obviously a little bit easier. Well, small plays happening here and there. Still an entry going out by RCTIC, and they still have the one-man advantage. They make sure they get these replies as soon as they need to. And once again, the replies are there. RCTIC, they really think of these situations as if it was their last 1-on-2 situation, leaving Riku alone against the rest of the team after Kirby falls down to Twista. And a 2-on-1. I think this is doable. I mean, it's not the best plant for him to face, but again, Riku is going to be, firing some bullets and opening up his position, exposing himself, allowing Soulreach to go in for that frag. And 10-14 is, after all, looking very promising for RCTIC here on cash. And looking at why they chose the CT side, I didn't really see that. And what I even mentioned that back before this game started, that, okay, it's cash after all. We bet back at Fragment Masters when we talked to the coach of Fnatic, Vuggo. He said several times that, you know, cash might even be the T-sided map that every team is looking for, still hasn't found their way to playing it. And if that is the case, then I think RCTIC might be the team that wants to continue playing the T side a little bit more than the CT side in the future of this game. But you never really know. RCTIC here, we're seeing X7 going in for wild frags, but they're, after all, Enigma is going one by one here, opening up frags for them to take home. So not really like I should be screaming any of RCTIC's name. It's really like I should be screaming Enigma's name because of the fact that they make these huge tab outs at points where I'd say you could just wait for an exit to come at you. So we'll see here if this works this time. No, RCTIC, they're playing this very, small, slow but very, very offensive play. And when they really get in, they start going wild with the running, and they really get into the sides to make sure that, okay, we've got what we need. Twista firing through that wall. I'm not sure what he did right there, but he's waiting for someone to come up from behind, spots a man out, and they do get that reply. So 2-on-3 situation. Once again, Enigma in a situation where it's going to be really hard for them to retake this side from the positions that they're in. But if they just spot Surge out, if they just realize that he's coming up from behind, they just got that kill. It could have been doable, but no, Surge has the upper hand right there. And Rapin, again, looking at the stats of this game, he has not been delivering at all. And he's got 27 rounds now. He's got 27 rounds to make something happen out of this, but hasn't got more than 10 frags. So and just bearing that with you, taking that in mind and taking that to note, might be the tilt factor for Enigma. I'm not gonna say it is, but Rapin is low on frags here, and if he steps up, I think Enigma is gonna be having a way easier time to play this on the CT side, because Rapin is pretty much the entry frag that we're seeing RCTIC get several times in a row here. I think, together with Elander sometimes. Kirby being a little bit offensive, but there we go. Elander is down, and might that be a second of the round? We'll see. Saw will be missing out on a couple of shots, gets the kill eventually. Sagerton will be supporting, and as they go in for these kills, 13-14 is what we're seeing. And comeback, RCTIC, is that really going to happen? We'll see how this continues. They've got AKs now, they're facing the Fool, and this time, Enigma's got a greater amount of nades that they can work with, delaying pushes and whatnot, so if this works the way I'm thinking, and if they really use these nades and utilize them in positions where they really need to, in situations where RCTIC are pushing them, Enigma is going to be having a very easy time knowing how they want to reposition themselves and readdress their shots. Well, Hypen goes in for a first, X7 falls down, and they continue to push into this side. Saw with a reply, and this is where Enigma has to stop them from getting these replies, because these replies are danger. These are danger, but Elander through that smoke! What is going on? This guy is on fire! Through the smoke, and I think that was X7, went down on the A star. Rapin coming up from behind, and he steps up his game with a kill for this round, and Saw is left alone on this side, is deciding to play this a little bit more safe and go in for one by one frags. And I really like the play that he's going with right now, knowing that, the guy who was on short was really far behind. The communication seems to work from RCTIC, and if we look at one more frag, this is definitely doable for him. But 35 seconds on the clock, and this is where Enigma is really eager to get this frag, and if they do go offensive here, that's the risk that they're taking, definitely to lose this round. Stop. Still playing this really safe. Makes that a first though. Tries to go in for the second. Knows that he's got these two players at specific positions, but misses out on the shots eventually and makes that 15-13. So, 29th round. and I do not know what to say here. Overtime might happen. It might actually happen here. If Arctic just steps the game up, starts to realize how they want to readdress their play and reposition themselves after knowing that Enigma did these small things to tweak their base, then yeah, sure, their base play is gonna be a bit easier when it comes to running into sites here. But the B side is still crowded by 2 members, and Enigma, they're losing their first member right there in middle as he goes out in the field for storage to pretty much just open up with a free frag. Hypen falls down, and it's a free entry for them to work with. Rapin now has info of people being up down on short, maybe I should say. Twista misses out on a shot right there, so he still has info, and they're trying to surround the A side as much as possible here. And this is where Enigma, if you look at the map, has to start realizing that this dynamic play has to come into play early when we're facing Arctic, because in middle, we don't know what can happen. So turning between the sides is actually smarter move, having maybe an Opera or whatever to play that the best way. Pervy, here's someone coming up from behind, misses out on a couple of shots, and that actually makes him fall down. Riku left alone here as well. Nobody, I mean, look at that. Nobody dies from Arctic. And it's an overtime. I think this is an overtime. If not, Enigma makes this the greatest round of rounds we've seen for a while. Well, they continue. And I mean, looking at the budget from Enigma, this is not a round for them to take home. And if they do win this round, I don't know what to expect from Arctic anymore, really. I mean, 16-14 in, especially on a map that they chose as well. Choosing, even winning the 9th round, where you get to play the most rounds on your preferable side, being the CT side, losing a couple of rounds there, a massive amount of rounds against Enigma, then losing the game 16-14. That's just a tilt factor to give Enigma an upper hand in the next upcoming game if you continue thinking of it. So mental things might actually play in here, and I think Arctic really has to get that momentum, that safe play going if they want to win this round. And Enigma, they're playing these standard positions, and it comes down to them really going in for these replies at this stage. Sagerton goes in for 2, Elander and Rapin falls down, Hypen goes in for 1, X7 falls down, Riku makes that a first, tries to make that a second, picks up the AK-47, Sagerton is down to 14 HP, and if just, Pervy goes in for the kill. It might turn around. 1-on-3 situation, however, this should be impossible for Riku to make happen, I don't even know what I said right there, but to make a round out of. But 15-15, and yeah, this is an overtime on the first map, so it says enough about this game. It is going to be quite 50-50, I believe. However, on the bigger maps, where Enigma hasn't got the opportunity to play this passive and dynamic play at the same time, being overpass, it might actually turn into a problem for them, because Arctic is one of the more experienced teams. They've got a better base play when it comes to holding it together and going in for these replies. However, on the CT side of this map, they definitely didn't prove that, so what I'm saying right now might just be irrelevant to what we're going to be seeing. But overpass is one of those maps where either we get to see that kind of play happen from Arctic, knowing that, you know, these are the spots and these are the positions that we can hold each other's backs on, especially on the CT side of overpass. But not only that, Enigma and how they will be able to adapt on the T side of that map, knowing that, yeah, however, if we do not hold against this team, if we do not hold against Arctic, who are really offensive, playing the CT side, and that's probably what they're going to be expecting as well, knowing that on Cash, we saw Arctic play really offensive on the CT side. Several times they died because they pretty much gave away frags. They were like walking ATM machines for Enigma. And if Enigma plays that as their base, and if they start playing that as their output, then Arctic are going to be pretty much superior to this team, now knowing that Arctic is aware of the fact that Enigma plays the way they do. So overtime is on point, and it is going to be an MR3, which stands for Max Rounds 3. So there we go. Max Rounds 3, ladies and gentlemen. Every single half. And Every team gets to start with 10k, I think, on every single member that is in it. They play the safe. RCTIC knows that. Yeah, okay. We're on either the verge of collapse or the brink of winning this game and destroying Enigma at the end of this all when they had such a good flow. Yeah. Flashbang coming up towards main. Now exposing a position for Sagerton to get a good pre-peek on. And this is what RCTIC, I think they're basing their play around here on the T side, especially in these more defensive rounds. That as soon as they hear these nades, as soon as they spot a nade out coming from a different angle or whatever, hearing it flying from, you know, bouncing on walls or whatever, they start realizing that, okay, this is a flashbang. This is probably where it came from. Let's pre-peek that position and try individually or together to take this one man out. And so far, it's been working out on the T side, and I think that's what they base their info around. Enigma, maybe these nades should be used in the retake situations. I'm not too sure. Elander, however, goes in for the kill on Sagerton. The reply is answered across the map as Twista goes in for Rapin. 7 goes in for Pervy right there, and it is, after all, a 3-on-4 situation. RCTIC has the one-man upper lead, and they go in for the clan on the B side. And so reach with the AWP, Hyphen as well, trying to make something happen from middle, but there's not much happening across this map right now. Enigma knows that whatever RCTIC does here, whatever they want to do, if they start pushing us or whatever, they're gonna have the upper hand, knowing that, you know, Elander and Hyphen, they're down low to at least below 70 HP. So a fair gun battle with an AK-47, especially a headshot, is not a risk that we want to take. And I think that's something that we're seeing from the especially the Opper, knowing that, okay, maybe they've got these AKs or whatever, it doesn't really matter. He hasn't got head armor. If they shoot him straight to the head with a pistol, it's enough. So these flashbangs, these smokes are really important to save for them and to build a good money, especially revolving around an MR3. You need to think about those aspects. MR5s usually last to like the money lasts a bit longer because you get to build something up, especially in losing streaks. But in an MR3, you can only get the max bonus once. So with that being said, they really have to take care of their economical situation early into this first half of the overtime. And they do have that in mind. Enigma, they have Hyphen to go in for the first kill. So Reach falls down. Saw as well going down at Riku. And Enigma's got this good base play where they readdress their shots right now. And I really like this individual style of playing from Riku. Pervy has a good reply coming up from higher as well. And Rapin has a good spot to get a kill on Twista. So I feel like Rapin is a little bit off point, but at certain points and at certain times where he's in positions that he has to be in to get kills from behind, he really makes those count, and you cannot take that away from him. 16-16, and it is a third round of the first half of the first overtime. So really long one there, but that's what it is. Dagaton goes in for the first one in middle, as that's a reply to Sorige falling down, and I think that was too Hyphen actually. So straight on reply right there. X7 and the gang, they're trying to gang up around this A side, but it doesn't really matter as Pervy is playing this. I don't know what insane from Carr with an M4A1S. He's facing these AK-47s, and with the aim that we saw from RCTIC earlier, this shouldn't be able. They shouldn't be able to get these kills. Riku will be spotting a man out, jumping at the perfect timing, but RCTIC eventually turns this around with a 2-on-1 situation in favor of them. Rapin being one of the players that has been criticized a lot here in this game, in a position where, yeah, he's pre-peaked, but he goes in for the first one, and not any offensive plays happening here yet, but Sagerton is in a spot where, yeah, he might actually be spotted out from behind if Rapin had the best play he ever could. But Sagerton goes in for the kill, and RCTIC has a good timing on Sagerton to make that a kill. So 17-16 and double overtime. I'm not doubting that it happens, but then again, RCTIC on the CT side should be aware of the fact that Enigma plays this dynamic play by now, and we've been talking, so this entire game has been revolving in comparison to every single play that we've seen these guys make has been in comparison with the dynamic defensive play that we saw from Enigma on the T side. And I think that it's kind of cool to see a team that they're not even registered on Angel TV, like registered as players. Maybe they've got accounts, but they're not registered as players. Like that they play this well, and they've got this dynamic kind of play that works. So I think that's why I stress that so much. We continue, and Saw with a good nade to hop up on Rapin, and as he just falls down at 2 HP. Giving him an op right now would be a preferable move, and an optimal move to go with, but he plays that with the AK-47 instead. They've still got the 5 members remaining, but a wide spread amongst HP around all of the members. So there we go. Saw with the first kill. Laner falls down. Twista has a good position to go in for pretty much 4 kills right there, but didn't really happen as he gets support from X7 in another spot, getting Pervy right there. So 2 on 5 in Arctic. Riku and Rapin are playing this really slow. They probably know that they need at least 1 or 2 frags to work with this, but yeah, Rapin is only down to 2 HP. 1 bullet, even to the head, is enough. Trust me. So that's what happens, and Riku goes down as well. Arctic has a good way of playing this right now. And if we take that to note, Arctic. Now I'm not sure what happened right there. We're just jumping straight into the next round. So haven't really got time to explain all of that I was about to explain, but it doesn't really matter. Looking at the map right now, Enigma are trying to adapt to that smaller play that we saw earlier, where Riku, Rapin, and the gang, half of the gang goes towards the A part of the map, where we have Hyphen and Elander eventually working their way towards middle and the B side, but they play this really safe and it's cautious, and I really like this, that they've got this respect for Arctic, to not go super offensive playing the T side, but then again, when they need to go in for the replies, when they need to execute eventually, and they've got these nades, they do. So they've really got huge respect for Arctic, and we can see that just by the fact that on the T side, they've got these replies coming at them. Sagarton being allowed to get 2 right there, though, is a problem, and Pervy and the gang, they go in for the straight up plant. Positions from Storage and X7 and Twista are really good. Storage has already gotten a frag from that AWP that he's with on car. X7 and Twista has got good positions to work with as well. So they continue to push here, and that AWP might actually make a crucial difference here if it comes to a point in which Pervy has to go in for a peek. It doesn't really matter. Pervy went down. Riku did as well, and Twista went in for the kill on Riku. So 19-16 is going to be the final score of this first map. Ladies and gentlemen, hope you guys have enjoyed, and yeah, don't forget to join the giveaway that we've got on a Razor Mamba and a Razor Golathius. And I have got confirmance now that the Golathius is actually a mouse pad, so I was right. And if you want to follow me up on Twitter, that is at @VaultedTheKing. And if you want to follow up Game On any social media, especially Azubu, would be really nice if you followed us on Azubu and even subscribe. That would be the best that you could do to support us and the organization. $4.99 is what it costs, and it's Game On GG on Facebook. It's Game On GG on Twitter. Follow us up there. First information always out on Twitter and Facebook. So with that being said, we're gonna face into the second map. Hope you guys have enjoyed my cast and this, especially the game, and that it's going well for you in your betting. Haven't got much more to say. Hope you guys have enjoyed, and we'll be back after a short break.